Yo, welcome to another episode of AKOYE Knows Boxing. Volta 8871, what's good? He said, what's good, coach? What up with you, man? I'm gonna let a few of y'all join up before I really dig into the topic, but you already know based off the title what we're talking about. Terence Crawford, and where does he compare and rank all time? And I'm gonna take this a couple of different ways, right? One is gonna be from a technical standpoint, like as a coach, how do I look at his style? How do I think his style compares? And then we'll look at it from an accolade standpoint as a fan, right? Like, how do they look at it? Sorry, I got this mint in my mouth. I got a little bit going on in my throat. So I'm trying to clear it up for you so I can sound like I got some sense. You know what I'm saying? But Terence Crawford for me, and like I said, I'll dig in just a second. But Terence Crawford for me is a fighter that I'm proud of at this point. I'm not excited about the retirement, and I'll tell you why in a second. What I'm proud of, because even me, he had a lot of naysayers, even myself, due to the fact that he came up with Top Rank. And during his time with Top Rank, they're so good. And your gift is sometimes your curse, because Top Rank is so good at matchmaking that and building a fighter that sometimes you don't really get to see what that fighter can do until he's late in the game. Even Floyd, while with Top Rank, he had some tough fights. Like I think he fought Diego Corrales like his last fight with Top Rank, I believe. But he had a lot of fights that you think were like challenging during that time, but they were still trying to build Floyd. He wasn't Money Mayweather. He was Pretty Boy Floyd when he was with Top Rank, right? For the most part. And that aspect of it, the way they build fighters, the way they bring fighters along, it's good for them because they're protecting their investment, but it's bad for the fighters' prowess because if they're not going up against guys that you think can challenge them, there's always this asterisk around their name when you say, hey, how good is he? Until they step out of that umbrella, we really never really find out, right? Terence Crawford got the opportunity to do that late in his career. I think the Errol Spence fight was supposed to be his statement fight. And I think that Errol Spence kind of stole the steam from Terence Crawford, unfortunately, in that fight. And the reason I say he stole the steam, it wasn't because of the fight. Obviously, Terence Crawford destroyed Errol Spence, right? It was what he did before the fight. Like a guy goes and gets into a car accident where now the world is questioning whether or not he has the goods, whether or not he had anything left. The world was asking that question. So Terence Crawford didn't benefit from the win as much as he should have, because I think he would have did that to Errol Spence anyway, right? Because of the style. Styles makes fights. But because Errol Spence actually had that accident, everybody gave him a doubt. They didn't give him the benefit of the doubt. They gave him the doubt because they said, hey, you just fought Errol Spence after he got into after his Lamborghini or Ferrari flipped over 15 times, right? He had brain damage and everything else, right? So Errol Spence had nothing really to lose in that fight and everything to gain. Whereas Terence Crawford had nothing to really gain other than the win in the money that he got for it. But the notoriety, he didn't gain. He didn't get what he thought he would get. And I kind of understand that. Like, I understand how frustrating it is to know that you are Timothy. You know what I'm saying? You really got it. And you really can't cash that in because, there's certain, I guess, circumstances that lean against your accolade or your success, right? And I think that's what was going on with Terence Crawford for most of his career, especially after the Errol Spence fight. So him being able to go and do what he did to Canelo was the perfect exit strategy as far as, the exit statement. Like, I am who I say I am, right? You see my style, and then the way he did it, fighting the wrong fight. I said this before, people got mad. A lot of Terence Crawford fans got upset because they think that I'm saying something negative. I'm saying Terence Crawford's Achilles heel has always been, he will fight you the way you tell him he cannot. Meaning, if you say you can't beat me in an infight, a close fight, meaning infighting inside, Terence Crawford will fight you inside the whole fight. If you say you can't outbox me, Terence Crawford will outbox you. You know what I'm saying? You can't knock me out. Terence Crawford will try to knock you out. That's the way he fights. The way you tell him to fight is how he's going to fight you. So that just, to me, that's a statement as to how good he is, because he will handicap himself and beat you the way you say he can't. But at the same time, to me, if I'm a trainer, me thinking like the coach that I am, what I would do is say, all right, I'm gonna set him up. I'm gonna set up a strategy that's like good for us, right? And then, we're gonna capitalize on that because we know what we're gonna get. If you fighting Terence Crawford, a guy with so many styles, right? You have no answer as to how he's gonna approach you. You don't know how he's gonna fight you. But if you talk enough shit, he will fight you the way you say. So you use that because now you know what you're gonna get in the ring. You can get him, you can make him a little bit more predictable by talking. And I thought that was like his Achilles heel. But and when I said that against Canelo, you should not stand still and let Canelo trade with you and shouldn't trade with Canelo. That is the wrong fight. If you're looking at a guy who doesn't have the footwork, if you're talking about Canelo, he doesn't have the footwork to keep up with you. And he can't do much more with you other than bang on you inside, right? You probably want to, and he's the bigger guy. You probably want to stay away from him, right? Well, Canelo thought that too, right? And then Terence Crawford went in there and fought him, for a good part of the fight. He fought toe to toe. And he took some shots that you thought he couldn't take and still dominated Canelo Alvarez. Fighting the wrong fight, he dominated Canelo Alvarez, right? So for me, that was a perfect exit strategy. But I'm not hyped. The reason you guys are getting this video late, about the retirement, everybody like, oh, what do you think about his retirement? Reason getting this video late is because I don't believe the retirement. I look at him the same way I looked at Sugar Ray Leonard, but not like I looked at it when I was there. Sugar Ray Leonard, I was probably like 1 year old. That was 1983, 84. But I'm just saying the way I look at it historically, when I look at Sugar Ray Leonard retiring, right? He gains leverage. There's not many fights that Terence Crawford needs in the sport right now. So instead of saying, hey, should he fight Boots? Should he fight this? Who should he fight? If he's active, people are asking those questions like, who should he fight next? And what should he do next? And where should he? We don't need those questions, right? He doesn't want to hear those questions. He wants to fight, the guys that make sense for him. And he wants the biggest bag he can get to do it. Him retiring just adds another layer to it. Because not only are you paying for him to come out of retirement, you're paying for the biggest fight now that, now that the fans feel like they're not going to see any more of Terence Crawford. You're paying for that type of impact. That's an impact fight. So that fight is now going down in history. Whoever gives him to come out of retirement, and he will. I don't think this is Terence Crawford's last fight, but I thought this about Andre Ward too, and I did think that Andre Ward would come back, but for whatever reason, he got into the commentary game and he's happy there, so cool. But Terence Crawford, I don't believe that he's really going to stay retired. I think it's a plan for him to make more money on the back end, which is genius for him. Anybody who fights him now, he making crazy paydays with or without Turkey. He gonna make money. So shout out to Terence Crawford. His career is definitely ended with a stamp with that Canelo Alvarez fight, but I don't think we've seen the last of him. So I will say from a standpoint of where he ranks as far as his career accolades, I love his style. I love everything about the way he approaches the game, right? But his accolades, right? He didn't have the fights that you would think would make him great, right? Early on. And I don't think that's all the way true, right? I think a lot of people say that. So I said what people usually say. But I don't think that's all the way true because I look at the Gamboa fight. I think he had to pull a lot out to beat Gamboa. I look at what's the guy? Kell Brook. That Kell Brook fight Kell Brook is a tough opponent. I think Kell Brook had the asterisk because he got his face broken twice, against Errol Spence and Triple G. So I think Kell Brook, they gave him an asterisk for his victory because, the way he put him down, you're like, well, was it because of the damage he had already incurred? Or was it because Terence Crawford just hit hard? Get what I'm saying? So he got an asterisk for that fight, but he had those fights and it was always a question mark. You know what I mean? I think Yuriokas Gamboa was the adjustments that they both were making in that fight, it was like high speed chess. He got, for me, a lot of credit for that fight. And he got a lot of credit for a lot of the fights that I watched. That I think the Jose Benavidez fight, I watched Terence Crawford adjust in the middle of fights. And that's what I gave him credit for. Outside of probably Floyd Mayweather, Terence Crawford was one of the best adjustment mid-fight fighters in the game. And I don't think it's because of a coach. I love Bo Mack, but I don't think it's because of a coach. I think Terence Crawford naturally has the ability to analyze data real time and change his game real time right in front of your face. And I love that about him. So stylistically and competition wise. I think he deserves all the accolades in the world. But I just don't believe that he's going to stay gone. You know what I mean? I'm going to get back to this topic in 1 second. I just want to read what you guys are saying in here real quick. I got Tramo 03. He says Mount Rushmore of athletes from Omaha: Terence Crawford, Bob Gibson, Gail Sayers. That's good company. Johnny the Jet Rogers. Pretty impressive short list for a city and metro of just over 1 million in population. Oh, that's huge for y'all, man. Shout out to Omaha. You must be from Omaha to know that. I don't know what's going on with my boy. I told you I'm a little sick. Trying to get my throat clear. But yeah, but shout out to Omaha and everybody from there. You must be from there because I don't know anybody else who knows that. But I remember Gail Sayers though, so that's cool. Let's see what else we got. You got the DeWant name. I don't know how to say. I'm not even gonna begin to say your name, bro. You got too much going on. But DeWant as name. AKOYE, who in your opinion is the boxer you watch that is like the most perfect? Like they are multiple and versatile and has no weaknesses. My favorite, I can give you my favorite fighter, but you say multiple and versatile with no weaknesses. It depends because the guy I'm going to name that's multiple and versatile, the best of them all with no weaknesses, actually lost after he started slowing down, right? And that's Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. is one of the best boxers I've ever seen in my life. He wasn't my favorite though. James Toney was my favorite fighter during that era. But if you want a short list of them, I would say Roy Jones, James Toney, Marvin Hagler, rest in peace. Another guy that can adjust and versatile with no weaknesses. Floyd Mayweather's up there. He can adjust in mid-fight. He's very versatile in regards to the way he'll approach you. You think you got him figured out, he'll switch his game mid-stride. And I guess you could throw Terence Crawford in there, but I'm not really going. I'm not going all the way back in history. If I went throughout the history of boxing, I know I'm a boxing historian, so I know a lot of fighters, right? But if we're just talking about guys that you guys probably will know of, yeah, I'll put him up there. He said, "Who you think will win prime, Triple G or Crawford?" I got Triple G. I mean, I got Crawford in that fight. Not that Triple G can't bang, but Crawford can choose to stay away from Triple G if he wants to. I don't think he would trade with Triple G, and if he would, Triple G might beat him because it's just Triple G's power is just crazy and he's bigger. But if you're talking about just skill for skill and they were the same size pound for pound, I think Crawford would destroy Triple G. You know what I mean? Skill wise, Triple G can't touch him. It's just that he has crazy power. If they were the same size, like naturally, Triple G can't fuck with Crawford at all. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, to my point, back to what we were discussing when it comes to Terence Crawford overall, right? Stylistically, right? When you look at his style, I never looked at Terence Crawford as a great defensive fighter. I just look at him as a guy who, in mid-fight, like if you're fighting Terence Crawford and you hurt him while he's fighting as a conventional fighter, he'll switch to southpaw to change the angle on you. And now you can't do as much, or you have to at least take a second to try to adjust to the angle change. And now he's taking advantage of you while you're doing that. And I think he's done that in several fights. Like Gamboa, he wouldn't have won that fight had he not adjusted and switched styles. If you look at Kell Brook was whipping that ass as a conventional fighter. Kell Brook was getting with him. And then when he switched to southpaw, he got him out of here in like a round or two. So I look at him like a guy who understands who he is. He knows himself, and he can adjust mid-fight and beat you. Fights that I want to see down the line, I think the retirement allows him to sit on ice, right? And the big fight that I think is coming down the pike, down the line, maybe a year from now, 2 years from now, he's just going to see where the dust settles, and once the smoke clears, who's there, right? You got guys like Boots. You got Virgil Ortiz. You got a lot of guys in the 154, 160 weight divisions who are kind of trying to fight for or vie for power, right? Once one of those guys establishes himself as a name in boxing in the next 24 months, you might see Terence Crawford come out of retirement to take on one of those types of guys. I don't think he's the type of guy that gets out of shape. He doesn't blow up between fights. He's kind of monastic with the way he is discipline-wise. So he's not a guy that eats crazy. I never saw Terence Crawford look heavy, noticeably. I've seen that in Errol Spence. I've seen that in a lot of fighters where they blow up between fights, right? Gervonta's one of them too. A lot of guys do that. But Terence Crawford never looked like the type. I think he's a gym rat. So I think that's what's coming down the pike for Terence Crawford. I think he's going to sit on the sidelines, let the dust settle, and then decide who he wants to jump back in with. And if you want an understanding as to why you would do that, you just look at Sugar Ray Leonard versus Marvin Hagler. Sugar Ray did the same thing. He sat and he watched. You know, he let Marvin Hagler establish his name. He let him build up because they needed a new star. If Sugar Ray's sitting down, if Terence Crawford's sitting down, boxing is going to create a new star. A vacuum gets filled, and boxing is going to create a new star. And whoever that guy is now going to be a question as to whether or not they can deal with the champion of old, which is Terence Crawford. So that's the conversation that will pull him out of retirement. And I think it's going to be Boots, to be honest with you. Him fighting Boots right now doesn't make any sense because Boots needs to build his name up, right? And then Boots, everyone knows Boots. A lot of people know Boots who know boxing. But when I say build his name up, I mean build it up to a point where Boots is already worth, 30, 40 million a fight by himself. And then fighting a Terence Crawford takes that payday to 100 million, you know what I mean? Just for him to come out of retirement each, you know what I'm saying? So him sitting on, the sidelines for a year or two may be the conversation. Does Boots get the same level of notoriety for beating a Terence Crawford that comes off of the bench? No. But I think it's more about the payday for Terence Crawford and Boots if they ever were to fight. I don't think everybody, because of time, nobody can ever say that, it was an even fight. So it's a fight that you still want to see, but it's not an even fight because Terence Crawford's just from a different era. He's older. It's just like Terence Crawford versus Floyd Mayweather. Like, they're in different eras. If they fought, you would always have the question as to if they both fought in their prime, what would happen, right? Well, Terence Crawford's not in his prime. You know what I mean? Boots is entering his prime. He's not in his prime either. And he's getting there, right? So you're always going to have an asterisk if they were to fight. But I think that's what he's doing. I think he's setting up a fight between he and Boots down the line, or he and somebody who's, filling that vacuum as the face of boxing from the welterweight to middleweight division in that range. Volta says Boots versus Bud would be an ultra dope. Yep. Only thing is Bud is going to be 40 soon. That's a fact, but again, I don't think anybody cares. They just want to see it. I mean, people will still watch it, even if he's 40. You know what I'm saying? But I like I said, career-wise, I give all the respect in the world to Terence Crawford. I'm hoping to see him in the ring again soon, well, not soon, but at some point. But I do appreciate all of the energy that people are throwing at him because I'm looking at it like, yeah, that's the way you go out, man. That's the way you want to go out the game. He said, yes, sir, I'm from Omaha. One person at least. Yeah, I know one person from Omaha now. Shout out to Tramo 03. You had to be from Omaha to know all the history of Omaha like that. Like, nobody really would give a damn if you're not from there. If you wasn't from there and you knew all that, I would say you kind of crazy, man. Because who the hell Googles who was popping in Omaha? You know what I'm saying? It is what it is, though. Inoue, I just watched Inoue too. So another topic, man. Inoue versus Picasso. Good fight. I thought Picasso, was tough. He took a lot of left hands to the body, man. That was crazy. But Inoue is a monster. They need to test him for some sort of he on something, man. He either on PEDs or on some Japanese herbal tea or something, man. Because I saw this dude get caught clean. Like, Picasso was catching with clean left hooks to the body, catching him with all kinds of shit. He just sit there, he'd take it and just look right at you like, man. Like, so I don't know if it's the beard. He got a good, chin. When I say the beard, I know he doesn't really have one. I'm just saying. When I say the beard, I mean his chin. But I don't know if it's his chin or not. But Inoue was just walking through shots that I thought were good, well-placed shots by Picasso. And he just walked through them and just kept walking them down. Maybe Picasso doesn't have the power that I think he does. You know what I'm saying? But still, clean shots are clean shots. You get hit with a clean shot that you don't know it's coming. That you don't know it's coming. It could hurt you. But it was an exciting fight. You know what I mean? I didn't watch the rest of the card because I've been busy today, been running around all day. But good fight by Inoue. Inoue is in one of those weight divisions where I don't think he'll ever be tested. You know what I'm saying? I think Inoue will retire pound for pound, high on the pound for pound rankings because he stayed at 122, somewhere like that, 126, somewhere in there. But anyway, I like Inoue though, and I like his style. I like how tenacious he is. But I didn't think that he was in that much danger in that fight, regardless. Paul, what's good? He said, I agree with you about the monster. Yeah, he on something, man. He was getting hit with everything but the kitchen sink, and he's just like, eh. Yeah. He said, "Do you watch battle rap?" Good question, I guess. I grew up watching battle rap when I was young, so like I'm from the Cassidy era, you know what I mean? Cassidy, State Property, you know what I mean? I'm from Philly, so Beans and all them major figures. You know what I mean? I grew up in that era where rap was really something, right? Street stars and stuff like that. But I'm not into the new battle rap conversation. No, I don't really watch it. I don't really like rap anymore, period, because I look at it like, you know what I mean, culturally, man, and do what you want. Don't get me twisted. When I'm going to the gym or I'm trying to get in the right mind frame, I'll go listen to something that put me in that mind frame, of course. Right. I like rap for that. But culturally, the way we are, you know what I mean? I'm from like one of the worst places in Philly, right? And I'm from Richard Allen Projects. When you look at the way Philadelphia is and the way the world is, not just Philly, especially America, and the way young people are here, is like we are the only culture I ever seen complain about the same things we glorify all day long. I was listening to Benavidez music when he came out. You know, he come out to the ring, they listening to whatever those Mexicans is singing. I don't know what they singing, but they still keep their culture intact. You know, no matter how much of a killer he is, they still listen to El Mariachi. You know what I'm saying? Whatever that is. You know what I mean? We only glorify things that hurt us. You know what I'm saying? And rap is one of them. Rap used to be something that's like talking about the things that we go through and giving a voice to the voiceless, right? Now it's like glorifying bullshit. And I just don't care to listen to it no more. So no, I don't listen to it now. I don't listen to battle rap now. But our trap music no more. I used to. But I got sons and all that, and they super into it. And I'm like, man, I'm trying to save these young boys, man. I got programs to try to save the youth, and I listening to the things that they think of as far as the way they process information and the way they move in the streets. It's all based on codes of behavior that they didn't even come up with, and most of it come from rap. These guys want to be rappers, so now it's life imitating art and not art imitating life. If you know what I mean. Rap used to be art imitating life, meaning the artist is talking about what's actually going on in the world. Now you got guys from the suburbs who never even been in that world trying to be from that world and turning the suburbs into that. Why? Because it's life imitating the artists that they admire. So I stopped watching. I stopped listening. So no, I don't. Not no more. I mean, I still kind of know who out there, you know what I mean? But I don't listen to battle rap. No, to your point. But I have been watching what happened with Easy the Block Captain and Cassidy. That's just because social media though. That ain't because I'm interested. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, good question, man. Good question. Um, Outside of that, man, I think that you know the 2026 fight schedule. I haven't looked at all of it, but the main fight that's on the schedule coming up next month, man, you got Shakur versus Tiafimo. I look at that fight as an interesting fight. A lot of people, including myself, give Shakur a lot of hell for not being he hasn't had that fight where he had to be tough. Shakur is skilled, but are you tough? Are you really tough? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I haven't seen you have to do it. You know, I have to really pull it out of yourself, pause. But I haven't really seen you have to do that. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at Shakur versus Tiafimo, Tiafimo, although skill wise, he's like a class below Shakur skill wise. Tiafimo got the power and enough skill to give Shakur a lot of problems. He's not a journeyman by any means, any stretch of the imagination. And people look at Cambosis fights and you know the Loma Chico fight, and they say, "Oh well, Shakur might be better than those guys." So he said, "Is he from Philly? Is who from Philly? Shakur? No, no, I don't know. If you asking me, I'm from Philly. Yeah, yeah, I was raised here, but no, I don't know. I don't know where. I think Shakur from Newark, but listen, if you look at those fights between Lomachenko and Cambosis, one thing that you pay attention to against them versus Tiafimo was on that ass. He a front runner, but he was on that ass on both of those guys early in the fights. Cambosis had to really trade to beat Tiafimo. Although he outclassed Tiafimo as far as his boxing ability, he still had to take damage to do it. And if Shakur goes into the wheelhouse with Tiafimo and gets caught with shots, the question is, can he deal with what Tiafimo's throwing and the way Tiafimo's coming in the first 4 to 6 rounds? Can he deal with that? The question on Tiafimo's side is, can Tiafimo be more than a front runner? I mean, can he carry his power late in the fight and affect Shakur. Now, I don't think Shakur has enough pop to make Teofimo respect him. I really don't. But that's why we watch. We watch to see, and he could definitely prove me wrong, and I will definitely come on here and say that I was wrong if that happens because I respect guys that go out and do the unthinkable, especially in the square circle, man. So shout out to Shakur. I think he's one of the most skilled boxers of this era, but he needs a fight like this. He needs a fight where people think he's actually in danger, and that's what he's getting in Teofimo Lopez. So I can't wait to see this fight. I think it's January 31st, but I can't wait to see it. Let's see what Paul says. He says, Inoue outclasses David Picasso to retain undisputed title, set up Japanese mega fight with Junto Nakatani. Yeah, I mean, I mean, yeah, it's a Japanese major fight, but I'm talking about like Inoue needs to come to it. He needs a Eddie Murphy moment. He need a coming to America moment. I think Inoue need to be over here fighting guys over here. I think he need to move up to a weight division where he can actually be challenged. Like I think what he at 122. He needs to gain 8 pounds, just hit 130 and start fighting guys that are here. And I think that's where I will look at Inoue as the monster that they say he is, right? I want to see you destroy the guys. It was like Prince Nassim Ahmed and Kevin Kelly and all those guys. Like at those lower weights, yeah, it's not that many people that can give you the type of trouble that you need. They can't give you that work at those lower weights. But Kevin Kelly and Prince Nassim, that was a great fight. You know what I mean? It was both knocking each other down over and over again, right? But I thought that when Prince Nassim started to move up a little bit, like he came to reality real fast. You know what I'm saying? So, but before that, Prince Nassim was knocking everybody. He had the power of probably like a welterweight, but was fighting at like featherweight. He's knocking the shit out of people. So he started moving up. You know what I mean? And I think Marcos Antonio Barrera whooped that ass. And then I haven't seen him since. So he big now too. That's crazy. But yeah, so I look at him the same. I look at the monster the same way. Like he got his niche, and as long as he stays where he belongs, he's a monster. I think if he moves up in weight and starts to look for tougher competition, he would gain my respect to a whole different degree because then he's putting himself in harm's way to prove himself. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think he cares about that. Hold on. He said he needs to fight Tank or Ryan. You talking about Shakur? Shakur versus Tank, I don't think ever going to happen. I don't think Tank want to give him that fight. Tank is like, I don't know what's going on with Tank mentally, man, but he definitely not right. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think Tank want to give him that fight. And a guy like Ryan Garcia, it would be a good name for him to fight, but Ryan Garcia big as hell. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if Shakur can really deal with someone that is going to walk through everything that he's throwing. I don't know how well, but that's because I haven't seen him have to do it. You know what I mean? So I would like to see him versus Ryan Garcia for sure. I would love to see him versus Tank. I think the Tank fight would be a litmus test for me because if Shakur can deal with a southpaw that has that kind of power where you don't have the southpaw advantage of, being on that angle. Like, yeah, they say he fought some southpaws that was good. Yeah, and when he fought guys like De Los Santos, I bring that fight up. Everybody hates it when I do. All the Shakur fans hate that. But I bring it up because that was a puncher, that was a southpaw who took away your angle advantage and you ran. You know what I'm saying? Instead of fighting him toe-to-toe, you ran. Why? Because you can't fight a guy toe-to-toe when you're a southpaw, and he's a southpaw because he has a two-way go when you fight him toe-to-toe. He can hit you with his jab, actually. He can set up his work with a jab, and you're not used to seeing one. So I think the best test for a top southpaw fighter is another southpaw, right? That can punch, though. You know what I mean? So I think Gervonta would be the ultimate litmus test for Shakur, but I don't think it'll happen because I don't think Gervonta wants to give him that fight. Paul said he waiting on that fight. He said, I was talking about Easy the Block Captain. Is he from Philly? I don't know him, but I don't think Bull from Philly, man. Easy the Block Captain, the shit that he does, like either he's super cornball from Philly, I mean, like maybe from Philly, like born here, but raised in like Reading or something. You know what I mean? But he not Philadelphian. You know what I mean? I wasn't born here. I was born in Texas, raised here, though. I've been here since I was like 4 or 5. But I look at him and be like, yeah, you're not really. The way Philadelphians act, he do too many Joe things, like drawing attention to himself type things for me to say he from Philly. So I don't think he from Philly at all. No. Like who put slashes in their beard, bro? Like remember 3 cuts in your eyebrows trying to wild out, man. The main man put 3 slashes in his beard. I was like, man, if that ain't the corniest. Plus, you get punched on too much in public, and ain't nobody got fucked up for that yet, man. I'm not a goon at all. But if you sucker punch me on camera, bro, next time they see you on camera, something gonna be broke on you. And I don't care if I can't beat you. If I can't beat you, it don't matter. I ain't gotta shoot you either. It ain't gotta be no tough guy shit. I will mace you and I will sledgehammer your hands and your feet, bro. You will be crippled though. You sucker punch me, I'm gonna make sure you remember it the rest of your life. It'll be the best, worst thing you ever did in your life. You crazy. Like people just slide me all crazy. You just keep getting socked in your mouth. Like nobody got no respect for you. I don't know where you from, but I know I couldn't live with that. Like you ain't gonna just keep punching me in my face. And that's what I'm known for is I talk a little shit and get punched in the mouth. Y'all crazy. I don't care if I can't beat you or not. Like something gonna happen to you. You crazy. But yeah, he said I was talking about Easy to Block Captain, and Volta said, "Can we give some props to Lara? He damn near all time great." Erislandy Lara is a Cuban, man. Cubans don't need no props. They already come through that Cuban, missile crisis training, man. I love Cuban fighters, all Cuban fighters, most of them, because of the way they're brought up. You know what I mean? So the program that I'm trying to install, and I'm not going to say too much about it on here, but the program that I'm trying to bring into Philadelphia is based on what they've done with those kids in Cuba, right, over the years, right? So I want to do something like that for the troubled teens in Philadelphia and beyond after that. But starting in Philly, kids that had like first time gun offenders, first time drug offenders, first time aggravated assault offenders that's between the ages of 16 and 20, give them to me. Let me train them up. You know what I'm saying? That's what I want. So I look at it that way. I like Cuban fighters just off the rip, just because of that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. He got a kick out of that. R3 got a kick out of that. I guess me saying what I said about Easy, but it was like, yeah, I don't think Easy the Block Captain is from Philly. The way he allowed those things to take place, it don't seem like he really from here. I just don't, because you can't walk around talking about you from Philly and acting like you tough, and all you do is get punched on. That's kind of wild. That's kind of wild, man. Might as well say you from somewhere else and people will give you an excuse. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, he from Delaware. It's cool. It's cool. He don't know what's going on here. You know what I'm saying? You can't do that. But yeah, those are the topics that I'm covering today, man. And I appreciate y'all jumping on because we don't schedule these things. And if you're looking at the schedule, you're looking at how, I guess consistently inconsistent we are when it comes to the scheduling, it's due to the fact that we have other businesses, both myself and my producers. We do other things here. You already know I got another channel, AKOYE Media. I do AKOYE Knows Boxing, but beyond that, I actually throw fights and do other things, right? And I have houses that I house the homeless in and so on. So sometimes the schedule gets hectic, and I'm trying to do many things at once. So I appreciate y'all bearing with me and making sure that when I do jump on, you tune in. I do respect that. And I respect your time, and I appreciate y'all respecting mine, man. I do bang with that. He said he's from Punchville, Delaware. He probably is, man. You from Delaware? You from Reading? Or you from one of the counties a lot of people be saying they from Philly. They be from like Chester or one of the counties surrounding Philly or touching Philly. That's not Philly. Like you from Philly? Are you from Philly suburbs? Are you from somewhere near Philly? It ain't the same. It ain't the same. You know what I mean? But appreciate y'all tuning in to this week's AKOYE Knows Boxing, man. Hold on, there's one more question. My bad. Is there any good heavyweight in your in what your thoughts on Abdullah Mason? All right, I'll stop. 1 second. Don't end the show yet. Talking to the producers. Any good heavyweights? Yes. Usyk, obviously. Tyson Fury, yeah. I still like Wilder and Anthony Joshua. I look at the heavyweight division. People are too big on being undefeated. I just want y'all to fight each other. You know what I'm saying? You don't gotta be undefeated. I want to see what these two. It's like chemistry. You put baking soda and vinegar together, you're gonna get an explosion. You put baking soda and water together, you get something different. You know what I mean? So just because one fighter can beat this fighter doesn't mean he's better than every other fighter that fighter beat. You know what I'm saying? Styles make fights for a reason. So I like to see Anthony Joshua versus Usyk, and again, you know what I'm saying? I like to see Wilder versus Usyk as well. I like to see these fights. I like just watching heavyweights. Period. I think Usyk is a guy that's benefiting from this era of boxing where there isn't like a solidified champion right now, except for him maybe because of In fact, he got all the belts. You know what I mean? He undisputed. So I guess you can say he's the name of the game right now. But the reason the heavyweight division is always in trouble is because guys that size that have good athleticism are doing something else usually. They're trying to play basketball, they're trying to play football, they're doing something else. Whereas, you get these Europeans who they're that size, but they're not dealing with the top athletes from America. They're not dealing with them because most of these guys are playing in the NBA or playing in the D League or somewhere else, or they're playing in the USFL or the NFL or college ball somewhere. They're not developing themselves as boxers from an early age. I got a kid named Roman, man. He was like kind of soft. His mom brought him to me because she said he don't got a dad at home. He kind of soft. He's 13 though. Kid 13 and already like 5'11", 180 pounds or something like that. He was like 12, 13. His dad is 6'7", so I'm like, he gonna be huge, man. But I'm making him. I'm taking my time with him. I'm not trying to rush him, but I'm trying to create the tomorrow's heavyweights moving forward with the programs that I'm installing because these kids aren't being caught up early enough to make the Mike Tysons of tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So I think we need to do that. You got a point when you talk about the heavyweight division, but it's just not there yet. And as far as Abdullah Mason, I like Abdullah Mason a lot. I got to take a good look at him when Rick Ross, the real Rick Ross, not the rapper, but the other Rick Ross, was trying to sign him in 2020. I got a good look at him then, and I liked him then. I like the fact that he can switch. He's a good southpaw when he fights at southpaw, stays southpaw. He's tough as hell. He from VA. They tough down there and all that. I like him. But when I watched the Sam Noakes fight, I thought that Noakes was able to hit him with a little bit too much. The fact that you actually brought that up, let me see if I can pull this fight up real quick. If I can, let me see if I can pull the film up. If I can, I'll show it to you what I'm talking about because I actually broke this fight down. Yep, here we go. Let me see. Let me see if I can pull this in. Can I pull this in? It's not up there yet. Chris, go ahead and pull that in if you can hear me. Put that up on the screen for me. Boom, there you go. Blow him up. Do I control it or do you? Oh, I control it. So in this fight, I saw Sam Noakes. He was able to do a lot. So this is what I do. The reason you guys don't see these fights, these breakdowns that often is because of the way they get copyright strikes a lot. Not strikes, but they get, our channel, not channel, but the video get demonetized. But because this channel isn't monetized yet, I don't mind showing it to you because they're not going to pull the video down. So it doesn't matter to me. I'll show it to you. But when he fought Sam Noakes, I saw a lot of things that you could take advantage of. If Sam Noakes, who's not as athletic as Abdullah Mason, was able to pull some of these things off by circling to his right, I teach these things. So when you see these breakdowns that I do, a lot of coaches call me to create these types of breakdowns behind the scenes, but you don't see them on YouTube. And this is why, because YouTube doesn't like them. And for me to keep making them for free doesn't make any sense, right? Because they take a while for me to do them, but they're very effective in training camp. If you want to know what type of drills to put your fighter on, you want to know what type of strategy your fighter should use, you should probably call me if you're in the boxing because this is what I do. You know what I mean? But let's get into it. These are tricks that you could see Sam Noakes was able to do versus a southpaw that worked all night. And Sam Noakes wasn't fast at all, but you can watch. And this is what I think of Abdullah Mason. He's a great fighter, but I just think that he's overly aggressive. And if he fights the wrong fighter who's able to do some of these things that Noakes is doing, like circling out to his right, notice that from the very beginning, Noakes is always working to his right, which is the wrong way to go against a southpaw. Meaning most people tell you, hey, you want to get your left foot outside of the southpaw's right foot when you throw punches. Well, Sam Noakes goes to his right, and the reason he does it is because it lines you up for a two-way go. When you go to your right versus a southpaw, whenever they launch that left hand, you don't lead. You have to follow. Don't lead when you go to your right, because if you lead, you're going to get countered with their left. But if you're going to your right, like you see Sam Noakes doing in this fight, right? You see which way he's stepping. And I did a good job of like breaking down, every step to his right. Whenever he steps to his right, he gets a two-way go like that right there, right? Every time. So whenever you step to your right versus a southpaw and they throw that left hand, you make their greatest weapon, which is that left hand, their worst nightmare. You get what I'm saying? Because if they miss with that left, whenever they miss with it, you got a clean, easy right hand that you can land easily if you're crazy enough to stand in there and go to your right. Most people don't do it because they're scared of the left hand that's coming back at them. If you train for this, though, meaning if you're in camp training to deal with the southpaw's left hand, you're not going to get as many left hands, obviously, because it's their rear hand. But you can see Sam Noakes' strategy, and that's why he gave Mason so much trouble. You know, some of these shots, just think about it, right? I love Mason. He's young. I don't want to discourage the kid because I like him and I know a lot of people that know him. But if he takes these shots from the wrong fighter, like not a better athlete and a better puncher than Sam Noakes will knock Mason the hell out if he does these things, if he goes to the right. And that's what I don't want to see. So when I'm looking at Mason, he has to adjust. His corner, his dad and his brother were telling him the right things, though. So he does have the right corner and the right team to correct these things. But the reason he was getting caught is because Sam Noakes going to the right was something that he didn't expect. He expected him to go to his left. But while Sam Noakes was standing on that right, whenever Mason went to go through his left hand, he made him pay for it. Look at these shots. Whenever he threw his left, he got a right hand in return. Almost every time he made him pay the price. Every time, and maintain position. Now, these punches just didn't get him. They didn't get him out of here, right? And they didn't get him out of here because Noakes is just not that type of puncher. But he's a good puncher. But some of these shots that he caught him clean with, man, like Mason, like you see Mason a beast. I love what he do offensively, but he wanted too much. Like you get more knockouts as you get up in the game, letting the knockouts come to you than you do trying to walk guys down. The way Noakes is fighting, I mean, the way Mason's fighting Noakes is the way he fought him is like he's fighting a guy that's a lesser man, you know, that you're just going to get out of here because he doesn't have the same will or drive that you have. And he made a mistake thinking that about Noakes. Noakes is willing to die in there. You know what I mean? And when you get to the top of the game, you're going to fight more guys like Noakes than you are journeymen, right? And when you're fighting those types of guys, just walking them down early in the fight, you're walking in the shots that you shouldn't be walking into doing that. And I think that was Mason's problem, like overextending on the left and so on. Like this round right here, he just kept countering the left. Watch this. Left lands. Watch this. Boom. As you throw that every time he threw that left, he made him pay for it. You know, he made him pay for it. And I think that's the name of the game when you fight in the southpaw. I train my conventional fighters to be able to punch going to their right. Look at that. Beautiful shots. It's just that Mason's a tough kid, but the wrong guy hitting you like that. You know, you get hit by a guy who really got pop, who hits you clean like that, you're not getting up from those shots. And even if you do survive it, your career is going to be shortened because you're getting hit with shots you shouldn't be getting hit with. And so the way I look at Abdullah Mason is he's a great offensive fighter, exciting, but he's getting caught by too many guys that's on while he's on his way to the top of the game. Both him and Keyshawn Davis got the same problem. They get caught by guys that they're supposed to look great against. And, you know, I don't know what the answer to that is yet, but I can't say that that's unique to them because I watched Andre Ward get dropped by some guys on his way up too, right? But he adjusted his game. And I think Abdullah Mason, this fight should have gave him a wake-up call where it's like, it's time to adjust your defense, man. Because for Noakes to be as slow as he is, not really a great offensive fighter, to be able to hit you as many times as he did with that right hand, that tells you a lot. And that shows you how effective going to your right is against a southpaw. And that's why I say a good southpaw, his biggest nightmare is another southpaw because a southpaw goes to his right naturally, right? You can pull that off the screen, Chris. That's all of it. But a good southpaw, you know, goes to his right naturally. Whereas, you know, a right-handed fighter doesn't go to his right because the old school trainers, I had an old school trainer and I'm grateful for him. Shout out to Sharaf. You know, Sharaf Timothy Tyler was his real name, but Sharaf is his Muslim name. He passed away last year. Great man, you know what I'm saying, like a father to me. But the things that he taught me are not being taught today. He trained guys like Bobby Boogaloo Watts, who beat Marvin Hagler here in Philadelphia in the Blue Horizon. He trained Jimmy Young, who beat Foreman. When Foreman retired, he retired fighting my trainer's guys. You know what I mean? Jimmy Young, when Hagler lost, he lost, I think his first loss to Bobby Boogaloo Watts, one of my trainer's guys. So these guys, like the body of knowledge that I come from is old school Georgie Benton type shit, right? That's not being taught today. So most fighters are taught to go to their left against a southpaw. The problem is all southpaws know that, and everybody they come up against is doing that. So that's nothing new to them if you're going to your left. They know you want to out leverage them to the left so that you could throw left hands and right hands. The trick is you go to your left for defense, you go to your right for offense against a southpaw. When you're going to your right, you should be thinking offense. That's when you're trying to get off and you're trying to counter shots. When you're in trouble, you go to your left. The reason you go to your left is because if a southpaw throws his right hand jab here and you slip to your left, he can't follow with his left hand because you're outside of his right hand. It gives him nowhere to follow up. So even if you get caught with the right hand jab from a southpaw, you should still be slipping off to your left. Because even if he clips you here, if you come off in the middle, you try to go off to your right like most people do, you get caught with that left hand coming back. You get caught rolling off of it to your left, he can't follow up. That left hand shot's going over your shoulder. Plus, you're going to have to lift that left foot up to turn and change the angle as you go to your left. So you should be going to your left defensively versus a southpaw. That is true. Offensively, though, you should be going to your right. And I learned that from watching hours and hours and hours of southpaws that have good jabs. If you watch a southpaw that has a good jab, Marvin Hagler or Pernell Whitaker was one of the greatest. Pernell Whitaker, this was his strategy. When he was defending himself, it's opposite, obviously, with southpaw. When he's thinking defense, you couldn't touch him because he's going to his right. Meaning after you throw your left hand jab, he's slipping to his right. You can't follow up with your right hand. So it makes him look way more defensively sound than he actually was, even though Sweet Pea was a genius defensively. I'm just saying he knew where his safety zones were to the right, and you couldn't do anything with him. But when I would watch him fight guys like Roger Mayweather, Azuma Nelson, and so on, he was popping his jab something crazy. I'm like, how's Pernell landing his jab all crazy against conventional fighters when they say you can't do that? It's because he was circling to his left. So he was circling to your right hand to throw his jab. And when he got in any trouble, he escaped to his right. So he circled left offense, escape right defense. And if you flip that and do that to a southpaw, circle right offense, circle left defense, you'll frustrate any southpaw with that style. And you can see from that Sam Noakes footage, no matter how slow you are, you can still frustrate a southpaw, even a more dominant, better puncher, faster, better Mason is better in every way than Sam Noakes, but Sam Noakes gave him hell because of just that one thing. And I break that down for other fighters. I show fighters what their fight is. You know what I mean? And I do that behind the scenes. So most people who be like, well, why do people ask him about boxing? Who the fuck is he? I'm a professional boxing coach. I train fighters professionally, but also trainers. I'm the trainer's best friend because trainers come to me and they say, hey, this is who we fighting. Can you break down the film on this guy or these types of guys to show us what their tendencies are so we know how to develop drills and we kind of understand what their true weaknesses are. And that's what I do. So trainers pay me to do that. And I put film together of their opponents and I show them exactly what to do to get them out of here. You know what I'm saying? So appreciate that. I'm glad you asked that question because I got to put that film up. I wasn't even planning on putting that up there, but he says Mason didn't know he was a good fighter because he didn't have a big name. Yeah, he didn't understand that he had that type of strategy either. Because most people in their right mind not ever going circle right against a good southpaw with a good left hand because you walking right into the fire. When you do that. But it's genius if you want to. Bernard Hopkins actually did this too against Felix Trinidad. Bernard Hopkins against Tito Trinidad was one of the greatest offensive or just greatest fights that I've seen from a guy that is the lesser fighter, meaning he doesn't have the same punching power, doesn't have the same speed, doesn't have the same name, doesn't have the same anything. Like athleticism was on Trinidad's side. So this is what makes boxing. If it was about who's the greatest athlete, the strongest guy, like Anthony Joshua would be the greatest guy, greatest boxer on the planet, right? Or Wilder, whoever's the strongest, biggest guy will always win, right? That doesn't work that way. Boxing is about what you got here and what you got here, right? Now, power goes into it, but the reason we learn this sport, the reason boxing is a martial art, and I think that's what people forget. That's where we go wrong. A lot of people look at boxing as a sport, and those who look at it as a sport fight as if they're sports athletes, and that's why you see guys get out of shape after they retire. But boxing is a martial art. It's a martial art. And if you treat it like a martial arts was developed to help the weaker man outdo and subdue the more formidable opponent, right? Bernard Hopkins versus Trinidad, he sat on that left hand the whole time. So he fought Trinidad like you would fight a southpaw. Watch the fight again. Bernard was circling to his right the whole night. He was leaning on Trinidad's left shoulder the whole night. He was smothering his left hook the whole night. so that Trinidad didn't have room to throw the left hand. So instead of running from the left hook, he walked to it. And by walking to it, he worked off of it. He made it so that every time Trinidad threw anything with the left, he was countering, he was working all of his offense off of the fact that Trinidad wants to throw this left hook, to the point where he made Trinidad's best weapon his worst nightmare. Every time Trinidad threw a left hook, he got punished for it. You know what I'm saying? So this is what it is, man. That's what it is. Like, I love this sport. This is what I do. And I'm gonna see some more things that you probably haven't seen. And I will throw some more film up for you guys moving forward, because I like the fact that you guys are willing to jump on here live and like pay attention to what's going on. So I appreciate y'all. Dang, y'all keep asking questions. Soon I'm about to get out. Every time I go to wrap up, y'all ask another question. He said, it's a martial art, so you have to train every part of your body. Yes. And you have to also train like forever, meaning I'm a coach, right? There's nothing, and I'm not bragging, but there's nothing that I will ask a fighter to do that I don't do. I even spar some of them. So it's like, if I ask you to do something, I know how to do it. And this is how you can tell which trainers look at it as a martial art and which ones look at it like a sport. If it's a sport, you'll see a trainer who's fat and out of shape, or you see a trainer who never even knew how to fight in the first place, training a fighter. Now, if it's a sport, that's what you do, right? Because it's a sport. If it's a martial art, it don't make no sense. Because would you go to a karate class or a jujitsu class or a judo class where the motherfucker teaching you don't know judo? No. Would you go to, you know what I'm saying? If he can't do what you asking him, what he asking you to do, then how good is he? I mean, why would you be listening to him? You know what I'm saying? So if you approach it like a martial art, you should be doing it well into your late years, because it's a way of life. Boxing a way of life for me. I've never fought professionally. I never fought amateur, right? But I can whoop a lot of ass. I mean, and I don't mean that to be tough. I mean it like I know how to box, really know how to box. And any fighters that are in the gym with me, when I go to the gyms, the way I get my clients and the way I get fighters, I'm in the gym. When I'm in the gym, I'm hitting the speed bag, I'm hitting the heavy bag. They looking like, well, why are you doing it that way? Because I'm old school. I got old school skills. I do speed bag work still. I don't even see a lot of pro fighters know how to even, what the speed bag is even for, because they fell in love with the mitts so much. They don't know what any of the equipment is really for. I see guys tapping the heavy bag. It's the heavy bag. Y'all tapping the heavy bag. That's where you're building up your muscles and your joints and your ligaments and your hands to be able to punch hard, right? Why are you punching this off? You're not. So if I ask you to punch hard through a whole fight, can you do it? No, because you don't train to do that. If I say, you know, you need timing to beat certain fighters, if you don't have the timing on a speed bag or a double M bag because you've been dealing with mitts, well, if the mitts aren't coming at you, if the guy's not throwing his face at your punches, your timing gonna be off, right? Why? Because you're not training your eye, your hand-eye coordination isn't there, because you're not training on the bags that are supposed to develop that skill set. And a lot of fighters today are called top fighters that can't do what I can do. And I'm like, that's bad. So I take fighters that come in, they'll get mad at me. They're like, I've been doing this since I was a kid, coach. Then why can't you do? Then do what I'm doing. Can you do what I'm making this 5-year-old or this 7-year-old over here do? Can you do it? No. Can you heel click? Can you move on your feet? No. Can you jab a speed bag and move around while you jab it and not lose the rhythm and not lose the time? No. But these guys are guys that are about to be on your TV that can't do the basics because they look at it like a sport, and they coming from coaches who never knew. They never knew the game in the first place. A lot of them, you know what I'm saying? So that's just real rap. I'm not hating on nobody. I wish them luck. I want them to make money, but that's really the true problem in the game is we got a lot of coaches and fighters that look at this as prize fighting and not realize that it's martial art too. You know what I mean? And if you treat it as such, you will be able to outdo so many. It's so many people that could be outdone. Like I wish I was 22 right now. I'm 42. I would fight some of these guys today for the money they're giving out now. Oh my God. I would go pro in a heartbeat if I was like 20. Because by the time somebody can challenge me, I'll be already at the top of the game. You know what I'm saying? They can't really, they don't know anything. Like, you got guys, boxing is the only sport I've ever seen where you can call yourself a pro boxer and not know how to do it. How the hell are you a pro at something that you can't do? You can't be a pro basketball player but can't dribble, can't play basketball. You know what I'm saying? You can't be a pro football player but can't play football. You could be a pro boxer and can't box. How? How is that possible? You don't know nothing. I see guys that are in the ring just taking shots. They just tough. They brawlers. They can hit. You know what I'm saying? Or good athletes. They just fast and they quicker than you. They got good reflexes. When they fight a guy that really knows boxing, they get their ass whooped. You know what I'm saying? So that's why Bud, and back to Bud, that's why Bud is what I call like a modern day samurai, man. He was like Ryu in Street Fighter, just looking for a worthy opponent. And he really knew the game. So that's why boxing is definitely going to miss Bud Crawford for sure if he's truly retiring. I don't think he is, but if he is. Y'all got some more stuff going on in here. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm interacting with y'all because we don't go live as often. So I'm not going to just leave questions up here and jump off. So if you're asking questions, if you want me to keep going, you should start, fill in the chat box and start talking because I'm going to respond to what you're saying before I get off here. He said, well, damn, I learned something new today. I don't know which part you mean, but appreciate that. He said, I got here late. Where do you put Bud? Where do I put Bud in regards to his ranking overall? Stylistically, I think he's one of the best adjusters in the game ever. Like I said, adjustment fight. I put him in my top 5 when it came to just stick athletes. I put him up there with Roy Jones. I think Roy Jones is number 1 all time, in my opinion. Because he's one. When I say top 5 guys athletically that ever fought, obviously people are going to argue that all day, right? The reason I put Roy Jones up there is that I'm talking about guys who can fight the wrong fight and still beat you. Roy Jones is a guy who he can box so well that he could do things wrong, meaning he can slip the wrong direction. He can stand at the wrong angle and still beat you to the punch. He can bait you with shit. Like when he fought Virgil Hill and caught him with that body shot, he was rolling off of a hook. He rolled the hook with his eyes and caught him with a hook to the body. I rolled the right hand and caught him with a hook to the body, just straight like that. Like the right hand is here. He rolled it, came right underneath that with a hook to the body and dropped him. Put Virgil Hill, who's a silver medalist, down with that shot, right? Well, anybody else is going to sleep if they try to. You know what I'm saying? So Roy could do things wrong and still get you out of here. That's why I respected Roy. Bud is another guy like that. And I said that earlier for those who weren't here. Him fight, the way he fought Canelo taught me everything I needed to know. Like he will fight you in a way that he shouldn't fight you. Meaning if you tell Bud, that he can't fight you on one foot, he's going to hop in that ring and fight you on one foot. You know what I mean? So he was one of the best mid-game adjusters ever in the game. So I ranked him top 5 there. As far as fanfare, I said that it wasn't fair to really say because he didn't get the names that he should have gotten throughout his career to fight. And he wasn't in the era that you could say like, oh, he's better than these guys from this era or that era. I don't like to do the era comparisons all the time. I think that Bud could have, his heart and his ability, he could have fought with the best of them in any era though. He is a pound for pound great. And boxing is definitely going to miss him, like I said. He said, I got Bud as one of the best fighters in history, pound for pound. I do too. I mean, I'm not going to argue. But it's so many. When y'all say history, a lot of y'all don't really got boxing history down like that, bro. Like, y'all be thinking history is the 80s. That's as far as I see people go. If I start saying names right now, like if I say, who's Joe Gans? Do you know who Joe Gans is? Who's Kid Gavilan? You know what I'm saying? Who is Georgie Benton? Who is Charlie Burley? Who is Sandy Sandler? You know what I mean? Willie Pep. You know what I mean? If you keep going down, Gene Tunney, these guys are like, Carmen Basilio. You got so many guys that were back in the day that are true historic fighters that it's hard to say pound for pound ever with a lot of guys because it's like it's guys that you're not even thinking about who was vicious, like the Mongoose, man. I always forget his name. Goddamn, the Mongoose, you know what I'm talking about. He passed away recently though. What is his name? Damn, I love this guy too. I'm bad with names, but the Mongoose, you know what I'm talking about though. And when I get his name back, and when it comes to me, I just lost his name. But you guys gonna put it in the chat in a second. But it's guys like that out of the game. Or my favorite of all time, one of my favorite fighters of all time, man, that nobody talk about is Jersey Joe Walcott, man. Like, it's so many fighters in history that you don't even hear about or you don't speak of. It's like Sugar Ray Robinson and all that. I think that's like the only person in history that was, crazy good. No, it was like boxing was a different thing back then. And the rounds that they fought, you had to really be able to like really do it. That's when boxing was a martial art. That's when you had the trainers that really knew what boxing really was. Like these trainers today are just, it's like they're good at getting you in shape, right? So my trainer used to say this, and it's true. Rest in peace, Sharav. You got a shoemaker and a shoe shiner, right? That's how I look at trainers today versus trainers of yesterday. A shoemaker can make a shoe from scratch. You know what I mean? He can polish it, make it look good. and it'll look just as good as a shoe shiner shoe, right? A shoe shiner can shine up a shoe and make it look new. You could take a guy and get him in shape, but if you tell him to make a shoe from scratch, you can't do it. So a shoe shiner and a shoe maker look similar from a distance. But when you say which one of y'all can create a shoe from scratch versus just make one look like new, that's where the game changes. It's a lot of guys that know how to get guys in top shape. And I see a lot of trainers doing certain things where they got they don't sprints, they doing all this weird shit. All right. But they don't chop wood, they're not pulling sleds, they're not working certain muscle groups. They're doing a lot of mitts. So they're not working certain muscle groups. So when you watch their fighters get into a real dog fight, they ain't got it. He'll be like, why? Because they don't train that. You know what I'm saying? Because they had a trainer that's a shoe shiner, meaning the guy that can make you look like you in shape. You'll be in shape for a triathlon or a track star or some shit like that, but not for boxing. You ain't got that kind of shape. They don't know about brine. Why you think Joe Frazier was so tough? His skin was so tough. He didn't cut, but he would hemorrhage. People thought he hemorrhaged because he just naturally just a tough-skinned motherfucker. No. Joe Frazier used to rub his face in brine. You know what brine is? It's what you make leather tough with. It's like cowhide. You just rub that on your face and it makes your skin tough, hard to cut, like leather. Joe Frazier used to do that to his face. Get what I'm saying? It's little, and his knuckles. Get what I'm saying? It's little things that you do, like little tricks in boxing that like people have forgot about, that they don't even understand what's going on. You know what I'm saying? These are the things I'm talking about. You got trainers like Eddie Futch, you know what I'm saying? Panama Lewis. You got so many trainers that have died with the knowledge that my trainer died with so much knowledge. I used to beg him, like, let me do a documentary on you, bro, so I can like get all this information before you get out of here. He died last year, and that's one of the things I'm maddest about. Like, damn, you know what I mean? We never got to get the info. He died with so much knowledge, and there's so many trainers out here that died like that, or they got chased away from the game by the mob that they never really got to show you what's real. Like, you see guys that'll get up in the game and then they'll leave their trainer for a guy that can take them further because the trainer might be hard to manage. You can't get the trainer to accept certain fights. He's not as, easy to work with. So they say, all right, well, you already taught him how to fight. You can get out the way. Remember $1 Million Baby? It's kind of like that. You can get out the way. He don't need you to teach him how to fight no more. We just need to take him to the top. We need to keep him in shape. He know how to fight. Get what I'm saying? So he lost a lot of knowledge in the game because of that. And that's what's sad for the sport. But that's the only reason I do what I do when it comes to boxing. If it was already being done, I would sit on the sideline and chill. It's the fact that I know for a fact a lot of knowledge and a lot of the trainers in this game right now don't really know what I know. You know what I mean? I know it sounds arrogant for me to say that, but they don't know it. You know what I mean? Because I don't see them teaching it. If they knew it, they would teach it. I shout out to the Russians. Shout out to some of the black coaches here in America. I see some, but shout out to the Russians. Shout out to the Cubans. Shout out to the Argentines. You know what I'm saying? Mexican coaches too. They still have their cultural history in regards to the systems that they create to build fighters. We've changed ours, and I think we've changed ours due to popularity. Like, a lot of people want to be Floyd or Roy Jones or whatever. They don't realize there's so many different games, there's so many different ways to approach the sport. Those things have been forgotten and lost due to a lot of these trainers passing away with their knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Like Georgie Benton, Eddie Futch, Emmanuel Stewart. You know what I mean? These guys are gone, but they had the Roger Mayweather. And these guys got the knowledge that most would wish they had. They have forgot more about boxing than most of us ever knew. You know what I mean? Things that keep you safe right in front of a guy. You know what I mean? He said Bud skills have a lot of the old greatest fighters. Yeah, Bud had that old school skill. Salute to AKOYE in chat. Smash the like button and share the content, people. Appreciate that. He said Virgil body shot was so vicious, Roy put him in the song. Yeah, that body shot was crazy. He said, I agree that Roy was a fighter who did all the wrong things and still win, but once he lost the athletic ability, he wasn't the same. Of course, because he didn't have to fight, conventionally. He did know the fundamentals though, but he had transcended the fundamentals. Like, he got so good at the fundamentals that he knew, how somebody scouts themselves, where I know what you're going to do against me because I know what I would do against me, right? He knew how people would approach his fundamental game. So he would show you things that weren't fundamental so he can take advantage of you. That was the genius of Roy Jones, right? He was like, his athleticism and reflexes was second to none. That's because he was fighting like a chicken. He fought like, he used to watch cockfights in Florida, pause, but chickens, hoot roosters and hens fighting. and he would mimic that style. And he would use his reflexes, you know what I mean, to box, and that was a beautiful thing. But James Toney too. James Toney was a vicious student of the game. Said late in, so forgive me if you already answered this. The Shakur Tio fight and the card. What are your thoughts? And 2026, would you like to match up? I mean, who would you like to match up in 2026? I want to see Abdullah Mason versus Keyshawn Davis for sure. The battle of the young guns. I want to see that. Teofimo Lopez versus Shakur. I spoke on. I think Teofimo has a puncher's chance. The question on Teofimo is, can he carry his power late now in the game? And the question for Shakur is, can you deal with a guy who isn't, you're not so athletically gifted against, meaning you're not so athletically gifted that he can't find you and can't touch you. And when he does hit you early in the game, especially because Teofimo will swarm you early while he's fresh, can you deal with what's coming? Because I've seen Zepeda hit you. Yeah, but Zepeda, not a puncher. You know what I'm saying? Zepeda almost knocked your head off. Shakur's, you know what I'm saying? So I like Shakur. I just want to see Shakur in a fight where he's truly tested. I think Shakur's been fighting a lot of Floyd Mayweather versus Diego Corrales type fights, meaning you're so athletically ahead of the guys that you're fighting. You really, even though their name would say you're in trouble, you're really not in trouble. And he's a southpaw too, so I want to see him against a guy that knows how to fight southpaws. Like I said, De La Santo is a southpaw who can punch, and he ran in that fight. I thought that was a fight where, even though De La Santos isn't the biggest name, his style and his punching power would have gave Shakur some problems, and that would have told me who Shakur was if Shakur could have got in there and dealt with that. But the way he beat De La Santos, I didn't like it. You know what I mean? So I'm like, and I don't like it, not for me. I'm talking about for him. Like, you want the fans to shut up and really respect you. You got to fight a fight where they think you really are in trouble. You got to have your Ali Frazier, your Ali Foreman type of fight. You got to have a fight where they don't think you can beat this guy, and you go in there and you still pull out the unthinkable. Shakur hasn't had to do that yet because he's been the A side, so heavily A side, that the guys he's fighting don't stand a chance. You know what I'm saying? So I think the T.O. fight is a great fight for him. And if he destroys T.O., if he hurts T.O. and destroys him, I'm gonna give him all the respect in the world. If it goes 12 rounds, which I think it will, I think that depending on how the first half of that fight goes, if Teofimo comes out the way I think he will, and Shakur comes out the way I think he will, which is kind of on his back foot, Teofimo should dominate at least 4 out of 6 of the first rounds. Meaning it should be a question as to whether or not he won those rounds, because I don't think Shakur should open up early, nor will he open up early against Teofimo. So Teofimo's claim to fame is try to put as many rounds in the bank before you get tired early, right? Because late I think the second half of the fight, that's going to be Shakur's time to shine, right? And that's when Teofimo usually slows down. If Shakur allows Teofimo to dominate those first 6 rounds and Teofimo does not slow down, meaning he's figured out the kink in his game where he doesn't slow down in those last 6 rounds, that'll be a hell of a fight. It'll be a very close fight. If Teofimo is who he's been, and Shakur is who he's been, Shakur is going to dominate the last 6. Tio is going to dominate the first 6. It's about, who can steal the rounds when the other is not trying to fight. Shakur's not going to try to fight the first 6 rounds because you don't want to trade with a guy like Teofimo early, right? So Shakur's not going to trade early. And if Shakur can steal 3 of those first 6 rounds and then dominate on the last half, Shakur wins 7-5, somewhere in there, 8-4. If Teofimo can dominate those first 6 rounds and steal some of those championship rounds from Shakur, whether he hurts him, cuts him, or whatever, then Teofimo can win a split decision or a close victory. So I don't think he knocks Shakur out at all, but I think it'll be a good fight depending on how those first 6 rounds go. Depends who steals who's thunder when the other is not ready to fight. You know what I'm saying? When the other was resting. He said, Jay Young said, I feel you, bro. It's like they have to protect their investment. So many hands invested. Facts. Yeah, a lot of trainers, I do the same thing. I manage fighters, man. I manage fighters. So I look at it like, man, certain guys I'm not going to put my guy out there against, or certain guys I'm going to try to protect my guy from too while I'm bringing him up in the game. Not that I don't want no work. It's like, why would we go do that now for no money? We might as well wait. You know what I'm saying? Go make some money first. We come back to this fight. We don't worry about that right now. You know what I'm saying? We want to build your record up. So that's a real thing. It's a real thing. You said like Tyson before the Wilder fight made his knuckles tougher and then softened his gloves to further the effect. Probably. I did a breakdown on that went viral, man, and it's not on YouTube no more because that's why you don't see these breakdowns like the one I did in this video on YouTube because they always strike him and pull him down. But that one went crazy. A lot of people watched it, but he definitely did something to the gloves. Those gloves were definitely soft. I don't know what he did, but the gloves were soft. Bud did the chicken fight moves against Gamboa. Yeah, he did. He said, "I want to see Stevenson step up and go to work on TL." I mean, I don't think he going. Stevenson is a very cautious fighter. His biggest problem is, and I don't think he'll ever get over this. He thinks like Floyd, meaning they think that losing is the worst thing in the world, so they're never going to take the risks. Floyd will take the risk though, but Floyd's when I say he thinks like Floyd, Floyd's record was his claim to fame, but Floyd would take the risk. I think a lot of fighters who watch Floyd go 50-0 think that you have to be 50-0 to be considered great. You don't have to be undefeated to be great. So guys like Shakur, he doesn't take the level of risk that he needs to take in order to be great. You cannot be great without risk. You can't. You got to take the risk. Ali is not great without Frazier. He's not great without Foreman. He is not. He had to take the risks in order to become great. Floyd is not great without the Cottos, the Maidanas, you know what I'm saying? The Chop Corleys, the Shane Mosleys. Those fights, he was at risk. You know what I'm saying? The Castillo twice, you know what I'm saying? Maidana twice, Cotto, you know what I mean? Ricky Hatton. He's fighting guys that you thought could actually beat him. You know what I'm saying? He had to take those risks in order to be great. You don't take those, no risk, no reward. And I'm not going to give it to you. I don't care how talented you are at hitting bags or hitting shit can. We ain't fighting to be better than bums. You fighting to be better than the greats. In order to do that, you got to take the risk. You got to. So you're right. Who's boxing versions of Jamarcus Russell, a Raiders QB? The boxing version of Jamarcus Russell, meaning like a guy that's like overrated, lazy. I don't think you ever see those guys when they get to the top of the game because they don't make it that far. So you don't have the equivalent to Jamarcus Russell because we don't got a draft. You know what I'm saying? But if you want to say a fighter that was supposed to be everything and then kind of looks like he underachieving, it would probably be Big Baby. Yeah, Big Baby. What's his name? The dude that got knocked out on Riyadh season. What's his name? Big Baby. And what's his name? Anthony or Andre? What's his name? You know what I'm talking about. What's his name? Like I said, I'm bad with names, but you know what I'm talking about. Big Baby. Yeah, y'all can put his name in here. I would say he's Jamarcus Russell of today. He's supposed to be better than he is, and he got out of here. Can T.O. cut off the ring? I don't know much about him. I think T.O. No, not really. Not against the southpaw that can move like Stevens, but I don't think he's going to have to because Stevens is going to have to come bring the fight to him because T.O. definitely they're going to have exchanges. So you don't have to necessarily cut off the ring, but you can't win against him unless you come to try to fight him. He's long, he's explosive, and when you go to exchange, he's not afraid to get hit to give something. So that's when you'll see their exchange. In the exchanges where T.O. is going to shine or sink. He said, yes, Stevenson is a baby Floyd and Bud a baby Ray Robinson with actually liking boxing. Yeah. I mean, to each his own. I agree. Them boys can try, but Floyd was different. He said Floyd was different. I don't know, man. Floyd in his era, he came along in the right era. I like Floyd. I don't want to say nothing disrespectful about Floyd because I like him. Do you think Boots has the ability to beat Bud? Yes. Do I think I don't think that it's a fight where it's not 50-50. I think that I would say 60-40, Bud, because of experience, has the advantage, right? But if there was a style or a guy who has the styles to deal with what Bud brings to the table, is Boots. I think it's Boots. Boots, I watch him up close and personal in the gyms. You know what I'm saying? I go to the gym and I watch him train. I watch him spar. I've taken fighters to spar him. And he said AB is Jamarcus. Yes, facts. But I take him to train. I take guys to train. I take guys to spar Boots. And I think he got the goods. You know what I mean? I think he could give Bud a lot of trouble. I still want to see it. You got to actually see it. I think he can beat him though. But I think Bud can beat him too. So it's like I want to see that fight. That's why I want to see it, because it's truly a fight that I'm questioning. You know what I mean? He said, the Black Swallow Engine, Bullard, war hero boxing career, 42 fights. Do you know his boxing career and his style? Haven't seen much on his boxing career. No, I don't know him. That you actually did. You brought up somebody that I don't know, man. So I gotta look him up. No, never heard of him, but definitely will look into him. He says, "So you a Philly guy?" Yeah, I'm from Philly, man. I'm not like one of those guys that think Philly is the greatest thing since sliced bread when it comes to boxing. I think a lot of our fighters underachieve because of the way we train them. You know what I mean? Philly. Remember how I said Roy Jones was like come from cockfighting, watching chickens fight. Philly is like dog fights. Our trainers here are not boxing trainers. They're dog fighting trainers. And I don't mean that literally. I mean the way they train youngins is like Spartans. So a guy who knows how to build a fighter from scratch, right? They don't really exist here. You got a lot of shoe shiners here, meaning they'll sit in the gyms. This is how trainers do here. They'll sit in the gym, they'll watch a lot of young boys come up, and then they'll see a young boy that comes into the gym and that's really already got like dog in him. He already a killer. You know what I'm saying? And then they'll take that kid and put him in the ring against a new kid who just trying to learn, right? And that kid who, ain't eating real good meals at night, already out here robbing shit, doing crazy work, whatever. He already got a temperament to him, man. He gonna be a dog, whether he in prison or in the ring. He already a dog. Well, that kid is the kid they get behind. The kid that is just coming to learn. They call them dog meat. That's dog meat. They feed those kids that's just trying to come learn boxing to those kids. So what happens is that kid like Ali, who's just getting bullied and got his bike stolen and wanted to box, he never learns because he goes and gets his head kicked in by a kid who already beating shit up anyway, right? So Philly is dog eat dog. And then the kids here, instead of boxing, they all try to prove how tough they are. They all dogs. So sparring, when you watching them spar, they fighting. It's not no sparring. So I can't take my guy. If you're not from Philly, if you're from Philly, you know this. You're not from Philly, you don't know. You might bring a guy thinking you're going to get some sparring work where you're going to work on your jab. You're going to tell your kid, hey, I need you to work on your jab, work on your defense. You can't work on shit. I need you to survive because you come in there, they trying to kill you. They're not sparring you. It's not a sparring match. They are fighting. You know what I'm saying? And they are brawling. They coming after you. So a lot of Philly fighters that have the athleticism, I think, fight too much on the inside. They do too much inside work. Because of that, we got a dog mentality. You know what I mean? So that's how it is. You know what I mean? Where I think we would produce a lot better fighters because the knowledge is here, but the temperament, the heart, they got a heart of a pit bull here in Philly. Everybody. If you boxing, that's how they are. Because you got to, or you ain't gonna be able to. You ain't gonna come to the ring or to the gym more than 2-3 weeks if you ain't got that in you, because you're gonna get chased out of there. You know what I mean? Because you don't got a lot of trainers. They got a lot of patience to be teaching you from scratch. They like you either a dog, sink, or swim. And the difference is, if I take you, and this is how it is in Philly, if I take 20 kids out to the middle of a lake who can't swim, and I throw them in the water, whoever makes it to shore, I'll train them on swimming, right? But I can't say I taught you how to swim. You just came here with something, and you got a heart to survive, and you swam. So now I can train you, and I can say you learned to swim because of me, but I can't say I taught you how to swim. You get what I'm saying? Whereas if you take the same 20 kids and you put them in the pool and not the lake, and you train them on swimming and then drop them in the lake, their chances of survival is a lot higher. We don't do that in Philly when it comes to boxing. It's sink or swim. Whoever makes it to shore, that's what we get behind. That's it. Everybody, unless you got a dad like Boots or like Danny Garcia, you know what I'm saying, or your dad is going to train you and make sure he take the time with you to build you up. If you don't got that, it's sink or swim. It's kill or be killed. That's the way it is. You know what I mean? He said, whatever happened to old boy that that light-skinned dude was in the gym with him? We had a conversation about, but he had some loss and ain't hear from him. Ain't hear from him again. I don't know which one you talking about. Oh, J-Rock. That's what you talking about? J-Rock, I think he's close to retirement. If he's not retired yet, he'll be retiring soon. We worked in camp with J-Rock leading up to the Julian Hurd fight. Some of my guys. So shout out to J-Rock. And actually, his coach is one of my favorite in the game right now, Breadman Edwards. He's a guy that is a shoemaker. him and Bozy, those guys can teach from scratch. There's a lot of guys, Rel. It's a lot of trainers here. I like Greg Hackett, Rel. You know what I'm saying? So on. Those guys really, you know, I watched them train too. Some of them trained me. Like I trained with Hackett for a little bit. You know what I mean? But I watched these guys teach. You know, watch how they move. Mighty Mouse, Ivan Robinson. That's my guy. A lot of those guys really do know what they're doing. He said that's making them tough, but trash fighters. Shaking my head. Yeah, they super tough. You know, Philly's super tough, but they ain't the most. They don't fight with their brain all the time. He said, "What should have been Cool Boy's plan in the last fight if he could have gotten a do over if you was training or managing them? One, whatever's going on with you in your head, right? Get away from the game. Meaning, get away from Philly. I would have took him into a secluded area, like Pocono, somewhere up there, and we just train it. Go to prison and train. Meaning, when I say prison, take yourself away from everything that's comfortable to you and train. Like that's what I would have did with him. I would definitely make sure he made weight. It was in shape for sure. Because I think Osheki Foster is a good fighter, but I don't know what he would have done against a prime Cool Boy Steph, and I want to see that. Still want to see it because I think Cool Boy knows that too. He wasn't at the top of his game. He wasn't as sharp as he usually is, and I think it's because he was training at home. You know what I mean? Training comfortable. I would have took him. I think any fighter, especially at the top level, you got to take him to hell. Take him to hell when you're training them, so that they're if you come with anything less than what I went through training, and I don't mean like dog fights. I mean like just uncomfortable. Get comfortable in uncomfortable situations, right? I would have definitely made sure he was in shape. I would have taken him away from Philadelphia. He's too famous in Philadelphia, I think, to train here because you got too much going on. And when you can look at that on the scale, he lost on the scale. I don't think he was in the best shape to say what my game plan would have been for him because he wasn't in shape. If he was in shape, I could have said, certain things he could have did differently. I watched Cool Boy in the gym. Like he got so many styles. He can emulate anybody's style. He like Shane Mosley used to be. Shane Mosley would play around and spar guys, and he would fight you the way this next guy might fight you. So he could fight anybody's style. Stoking Cool Boy. He really liked that. So for him to come out and look the way he did against Osheki, not being able to stop a jab, not really looking kind of confused at times, it's not his ability that's the problem. I don't think he lost a step either. I think he just was out of shape. I think he was just out of shape. That's really honest, man. And I know those guys, like we see each other when you see each other around. So I'm not disrespecting those guys by saying I think he would say that himself. I mean, when you don't make weight, you're out of shape. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the biggest thing is if you got a fighter that his whole game plan in camp is make the weight, you got a problem. Got a problem. And he went up in weight at that. But when your whole game plan is to making weight, I can't teach you strategy because we worried about cutting weight. Your body is not right because you worried about cutting weight. So I need you in shape. I got my fighters now. Like I got a fighter now, Hawk, that we're about to make a push in 2026. I called him last month and said, "Hey, what you walking around at?" He like 160. I said, "I need you to walk around at 152. We're not even fighting right now. 152, I need you at 152 because I'm trying to fight him at 135. So I need your body to acclimate to 152. So even when you're not training, you should be in some semblance of training because you are a prize fighter. So you should be close to where you need to be working. You know what I'm saying? Close to that weight. And I think Cool Boy got a little too big between fights. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was his problem. I don't think it was his ability at all. I think it was just weight. How does flashy fighter beat a very cerebral fighter with better skills and more experience? When you say flashy, I mean that just because you flashy don't mean you ain't cerebral though. You got guys like Hector Macho Camacho was flashy, he was cerebral and he was tough. You know what I'm saying? Roy Jones was flashy, but he was cerebral and he was tough. You know what I mean? Floyd was flashy, but he was cerebral too and tough. You know what I'm saying? So just because you flashy, it doesn't mean you're not cerebral. When you say flashy, I guess you mean a guy that just don't punch hard and move around a lot. I guess that's what you mean. But how do you beat a guy that's more cerebral? You got to understand what you're not. You know what I'm saying? Know your game and know who you are and know who you're not. You know what I'm saying? So stay behind your jab. Don't try to knock a guy out, even if you got the opportunity to. Don't you do it. You know what I'm saying? Stay behind your stick, jab, move, and play the clock. Look at the proverbial flashy fighter versus the tough cerebral fighter. You would look at it like Sugar Ray Leonard versus Marvin Hagler, right? Sugar Ray didn't beat that fight because he said, "Oh, I'm gonna just go in here and do what I did against Duran the second fight. I mean, the first fight, which is try to fight him." He tried to fight Duran the first time. He's a flashy fighter, and you tried to fight the cerebral tough guy, right? Duran whooped that ass. He learned. He said, "All right, no, that's not my fight. Even if I'm fighting this guy, fighting certain guys, yeah, the guys that's coming up, you could do that too. You can't fight Duran like that. You gotta just take what you can. Take what he give you, and don't take no more. Meaning, just jab him and move, and be okay with the booze. A lot of fighters don't want to do that. So, how a flashy fighter can beat a tough cerebral fighter, you can't be emotional. You gotta take the points, right? Hit him, run. Hit him, grab. Like Bernard Hopkins used to. Hit him, play with his head. You know what I'm saying? Make it so that you can understand what he's thinking by the end of the fight. Meaning, if I pad up enough points against you and you're a cerebral fighter, you're a tough fighter, you know, if I got 7 rounds of jabs in your face and you ain't really getting off on me because I'm grabbing you, because I'm moving, because I'm slipping, because I'm stealing rounds in the last 30 seconds, you know you're not up by the time we get to 7 rounds. You questioning, and so is your corner. Y'all questioning whether or not y'all winning this fight, right? Now you got to come to me. Now you got to take risks. Now you got to open up. Now I can knock you the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? That's how a flashy fighter should fight a tougher guy. You know what I mean? You don't try to go in there and do what Zab did against Costa Zoo. I'm gonna try to out tough the tough guy. You're gonna lose. You don't try to do what Abdullah Mason did against Sam Noakes. I'm gonna out tough the tough guy. Well, he won, but he paid for it. Get what I'm saying? You don't do that. You think about Floyd Mayweather versus Diego Corrales. You know what I'm saying? Floyd didn't try to engage. He said, fuck that. Nope. You know what I'm saying? Nope. I'm gonna jab him to his body. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna bring his hands down. I'm going to punch him around the side. I'm going, you know what I mean? Keep adjusting in the middle of the fight, keep giving him different things to think about. You know what I'm saying? A cerebral fighter is a thinker. You give him things to think about that slow him up. So he has analysis paralysis, man. And that's how you beat him. You don't try to go out tough those guys. Yep, you don't try to out tough those guys. He said, "Who's the most complete fighter in boxing right now since Bud is gone? Who's the next man up?" I want to say Boots, but I'm not sold yet. But you watch him more than me. Yeah, I would say Boots is the most complete right now. That's coming up in the game. He can do everything. Now, will he? You know, it's like saying, you know, you got guys who can, do certain things, but they don't choose to pull those tools out. Like Boots can fight you from distance as long as he wants to. Will he is the question. Can he? Yes, he can do whatever he wants. Will he is the question. Will he exchange with guys and bring himself, to a early I guess demise by trying to be tough? Or will he choose to box in those moments where he needs to? That's up to him, and we'll see that. But I think Boots is the most complete fighter in the game right now. I can't take it away from him, even though I would like to see more from him too. All right, but here we go. Last couple questions, and then I got to get out of here, man. He said, "So would you have Boots to try a jab and grab with Bud to win? No, no, not against Bud. He wouldn't need to. You do that against fighters that's like, when I say jab and grab or the spins and angles and so on, that's against a guy like when you fighting a guy that's walking through everything, the guy that you cannot hurt. Boots and Bud can hurt each other. So that's just a high speed chess match. When you fighting a guy like the guys who used to fight Errol Spence back in the day, right? When he was fighting at welterweight, Errol Spence walking through everything. Jarrett Hurd walking through. Think of J Rock versus Jarrett Hurd. Watch that fight. That's what I mean. If J Rock tried to exchange with Jarrett Hurd the whole night, he loses. He wasn't doing that. He would jab him, step off to the side, pull his right hand down, hook him off the side, grab him, walk him to the middle of the ring, spin him. You know what I'm saying? Get him to the ropes, body shot, spin off to the side. You know what I mean? He's not there. He's making you think, making you keep adjusting, even though this wall is coming at him. You don't do that against another guy that's like a chess master. You don't need to, because you're not gonna be able to anyway. You're gonna have to really fight him. You know what I'm saying? Fight him. Um, Let's see. Last couple questions. He said, "Would Spence before the accident beat Bud when they fought?" No, no, he would not. Um, I'm gonna show you why real quick, right? This is good, and Chris, this is the last thing I'm gonna show, and then we can get off here. My producer got to go. He got to wrap up in a second, but I want to show one thing. I'm gonna share my screen real quick, and I'm gonna put this up here. Put this up here real quick. Let me put this up. Boom. All right, hold on. Let me share my screen with y'all real quick. And boom. This breakdown I did. Let me make sure y'all can see it. Pull that in for me, Chris. Yep, that right there. Now let me adjust it so that it's in the proper window. Boom. All right, now let me go. Boom. All right. So this is a breakdown I did way before they fought, and this is before the accident. The reason Kell Brook was hurting Spence. He's fucking him up. The reason I thought that Spence would lose against a guy who had a good right hand is because of the way Kell Brook fought Spence. Kell Brook had this. I did this breakdown in preparation for Spence versus Danny Garcia, but Kell Brook was doing certain things like the way he was countering Spence with his right hand. I said when Spence fights a guy, because Spence did not get out of the way of a right hand all night, and the way he was countering Spence all night, I said if he fights a guy that can jab with a good right hand, like this is against Mikey Garcia. Look at this right hand. Boop. Spence was walking in the right hands against smaller guys forever. He's been doing that. But so I'm mad for Bud because Bud fought Spence and people thought the accident was the reason Spence didn't beat Bud. Spence couldn't beat Bud even before the accident because Spence was susceptible to right hands. But he's always fighting smaller guys who are fighting as a conventional fighter. And as you know, a conventional fighter not going to throw as many right hands as a southpaw who's jabbing. So I said a southpaw who got a good, strong right hand jab can beat Spence. And the only one I thought of that could do it was Bud. So I said this years before they fought. I said what would happen in that fight. And that was before the accident. And that was because I did a lot of breaking down. I did this for Team Garcia before their fight. And I said, damn, oh man, what Brook was able to do to Spence, if he fight a guy that has a good right hand, he in trouble. And I'm gonna get to the right hands. Like, watch these right hand shots that you're gonna see, man. I'm about to fast forward it for you real quick because this might be a longer one. Let me see how long this is. It's about 10 minutes long. So let me get to the goods. Let me get to the goods. Watch how he slips off to his left. So let's get to that real quick. So watch how see that? Slip to your left and through his right. He was doing that all night. Slip to your left, throw to your right. Danny Garcia was doing it too against Zab. But when you slip your head off to the left, they can't follow up with anything. So it's the safest place to be if you're a conventional fighter, right? Now, Brook was doing this excellently against Spence all night. You know, he just kept doing it, boom, and was catching him with right hands all night. So I saw a lot of things that a lot of holes in Spence's game that I thought Garcia would be able to take advantage of because of the way he fought southpaws too. He goes to his right as well, and I saw what he was able to do against guys like Zab. But Garcia really didn't seem like he was ready to engage Spence when he fought him. But I just said as soon as Spence fights a guy that can dominate with his right hand, that has a good dominant right hand jab, he gonna lose. And I thought Bud was the guy, and Bud was. So this wasn't something that I thought that was a fluke. Everybody talk about the accident. I think they disrespecting Bud because they're not paying attention to Spence's flaws the way I do. And I understand it because who else gonna sit back and watch every punch that a man throws for an entire fight to see what his weaknesses are? Everybody not doing that. I slow them down so I can see what's actually happening in those fights. Let me fast forward again for you because this ain't about Garcia. I want you to see these shots before we get off here. Boom. I want you to see these shots off to the right. Let me see. Here we go. Watch these shots though. Boom. Those lead right hand shots. So Brook was fighting Spence like you fight it, like a southpaw would fight. He was throwing a lot of lead right hands, and he was landing with him almost every time. When he slid, see why I say you don't slip inside to your right against the southpaw? Because then they can follow up with those lefts like that. Boom. You know what I mean? When you slip off, you got to slip off to your left. If you slip inside to your right, you know, southpaw, especially Spence, he waiting for you. He trying to tee off on you. Hold on a second. I'm trying to get to these moments in this fight. Let me show you. I think I passed the Brook portion of this. Right, boom. See these shots right here? Those lead right hands all night. All night. He kept catching them with these all night. Boom. And clean. These clean shots. Watch these shots. Boom. Clean shots. You see those? I said, if Spence can't deal with that all night, like if he can't deal with a guy, if he fights a guy who got a good jab, and that's how he's fielding those right hands, like he got a problem. And this is boom, see those? Every time that was there for him all night. That was all night, every time. So this wasn't a fluke, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't like rooting against Spence. I like Spence. But when I was watching his game, these was the holes in his game. Every time. Every time he threw his jab, Brook was making him pay for that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think no. I think the answer to your question, and we can come up out of there. You can stop sharing now, Chris. But the answer to that is no. I don't think that prior to the accident, I don't think Spence. I don't even think the accident took so much from Spence that Spence couldn't do anything against Bud. I think Bud just truly had the style for him. You know what I mean? I think that's what it was. He said, "Wait, you think Boots has as much power and speed as Bud, bruh? Speed for sure. Power, man. Boots hits hella hard, bro. Yes, yeah, Boots hit hard, very hard, and he's bigger than Bud. He hit hard as hell. I had Boots. I took a guy. I keep saying it. I took a guy to spar Boots in sparring. Right? He retired the guy. Not saying Bud couldn't do that, but he retired the guy with 16-ounce gloves on. Like he just knocked him out with headgear on. Yeah. So you were right. He said the accident was not Spence flaws. He had the same flaws forever. Right. Right. Salute Bud Crawford on a good career. That's a fact. And on that one, I'm out, man. We gotta go. My producer got to jump off here. So I appreciate y'all jumping on this week. I actually got to do something that I don't usually do, which is pull some boxing film up. But I'll do more of that and we'll keep it rocking, man. But appreciate y'all. Talk to y'all soon. Peace. We out.